6 lessons I learned about persevering through rejection. Oh. Okay. The most powerful and common emotional inconvenience is rejection. Whether it's social or professional, rejection is pervasive in all of our lives. Some forms of it are more extreme than others. I mean, hamsters are notoriously evil for rejecting their young by eating them, and that's where Trump's getting swiped left on Tinder. As a high school senior submitting in college applications, I knew that rejection was inevitable, and it freaked me out. The last 3 years of hard work, achievement, and late night studying for finals culminated into a single application that could dictate the rest of my life. Yeah, pass. Just kidding. College isn't for everyone, but I've always looked forward to the prospect of a higher education, and early this year I finally got my chance. I was a finalist for a really great scholarship program and applied to 5 amazing schools through it, 3 of which are my dream schools. And so, as these things usually go, I wrote essays, rewrote them, pestered my recommenders, constantly visited my guidance counselor, and eventually submitted my application. And within a month, I got a response. Now, by the title of this talk, you probably have a vague understanding of what happened. So here's how. I was on the train with my friend, fidgeting, checking my application status every 5 seconds or so, when it finally loaded. We regret to inform you. 5 words that turned my anticipation and excitement into humiliation and disappointment. I remained unfazed with my friend, registering everything, maintaining a cool composure, my state of denial being the one thing preventing me from letting it all in. As soon as I got off the train to transfer, waterworks. My conscience, my inner Jiminy Cricket, who is nothing like Jiminy Cricket, by the way. Oh no, my conscience is this buff guy, former Navy SEAL, buzz cut, John Cena-esque. Lovely dude. Anyway, he's all like, oh gosh, no, take a walk, Weerakoon, don't let me see you sweat. And he did take a walk, an hour-long walk around Lexington, contemplating all the reasons why I wasn't good enough, why they didn't accept me. It wasn't the rejection itself that hurt me. It was only December. I was gonna get into college one way or another. It was what the rejection meant. To me, it meant all the hard work and emotion I poured into my application was rendered meaningless. It meant I was back to the former state of uncertainty I was concerning about my future. Not to mention, what was I gonna tell my friends, my teachers, my optometrist, even my optometrist? Tears streaming down my cheeks, I looked longingly at passersby, hoping they'd comfort me. I played the victim, the damsel in distress. Just as I came to terms with the fact that this wasn't a movie and I was surrounded by New Yorkers, that I met Christopher. Christopher and I grabbed a cup of coffee and spoke for what seemed like forever. He was a former skiing prodigy. He had 3 degrees in different types of engineering, and he was a devout Catholic. He was also an ex-con, a former addict, and he was homeless. Christopher seemed ecstatic to speak with me, and I wasn't surprised. Being a part of New York's vast population of over 60,000 homeless, he was used to feeling criminalized, demonized, and punished for simply existing. Being considered by many as a nuisance in society, he felt rejection and failure on a deeper level than anyone I had ever met. Here are 6 tips about rejection that I had learned from Chris. 1, always have a plan B. The first thing Christopher told me when I told him about my rejection was, well, what's your plan B? Looking back, I seemed very caught off by this question, but the answer was very obvious. Apply to more colleges. In an ideal world, I would have already begun the application process, but it's more than just having a backup plan. It's making sure your backup plan is just as strong as your initial plan, and approaching with the same energy you had before you were rejected. And if your plan B doesn't work out, have a plan C and a plan D, and I think we're all familiar with how the alphabet works. Tip number 2, someone is going through something much worse. When we get rejected, it feels like it's the end of life as we know it. The stigma and negativity surrounding rejection makes it feel like it's the worst thing that could possibly happen, but it's simply not true. That's why it's integral to take a step back and analyze the world around you. The racism, poverty, and countless humanitarian crises that plague it. In my case, I understood that even having the opportunity to have an education was a big deal. Christopher stressed this. Holding on to a tattered blanket and a Bible, he said, someone is going through something much worse than you and I. Remember that. 3, find other areas of fulfillment. When we get rejected, it feels like our world just falls apart. The same thing when we have a dream and it fails. That's why it's important to have other areas of fulfillment to fall back on. This could be a hobby, another goal, or returning to tip number 2, giving back. Making others feel better is one of the most fulfilling things you can do. Donate to a relief fund, or even buy someone a cup of hot coffee on a cold day. Do things that make you feel like you're being the best version of yourself. 4, don't take it personally. Have confidence in the abilities you have and build upon them, instead of picking out perceived vulnerabilities and flaws. Doing the latter will only make you reframe the situation in different lights, lowering yourself each time. Feelings will get hurt. That's why it's important to separate your feelings from your sense of self-worth. That way, when your feelings get hurt, your sense of self-worth stays intact. Don't overindulge. Rejection causes a sense of uncertainty, and uncertainty tends to make us overindulge. In the journal she co-authored on organizational behavior and human decision processes, Catherine Milkman concluded that uncertainty increased the appeals of wants over shoulds. And she makes a fair point. When people deal with failure or rejection, they tend to go overboard with the pick-me-ups. Binge eating, stress shopping, or delving into substance abuse. Overindulgence in itself is an unhealthy coping mechanism, so it's important to focus on healthy coping mechanisms, like reading or exercising or finding other areas of fulfillment. 6, harness your energy for good. Imagine your emotions as a physical entity that can be changed and applied differently to different situations. Sadness, fear, humiliation, and disappointment are strong negative emotions that can dampen your day like a rain cloud following you around. But it doesn't have to be like that. Acknowledge your pain and transform your negative energy into positive energy. Stop dwelling on negativity. Power lies in your thoughts, and thoughts become things. It's up to you whether they're good or bad. These tips are much easier said than done. They require genuineness and honesty with oneself. Henry Rollins once said, I've always learned more from rejection than from acceptance and success. Chris's tips may not completely relieve you of the wounds inflicted upon by rejection, but they will help speed up the overall healing process and bring you to the fresh start you need. They helped me find the resilience I needed to keep moving forward, and I'm confident they can do the same for you.